Previously on SaturD&D, The Wayward Path.
My grandfather was a great man, but not the great man I want to be. My grandfather caused much bloodshed in the world, and although that brought the Empire to what it is today, and I'm thankful for that, I don't think that's the kind of ruler I want to be. Elbram thinks otherwise, and he'll always have his opinions. But really, it was you all coming in that I think has made a difference in the kind of ruler I want to be. I'm considering traveling to the Alliance to meet their people, to show in good faith that I'm not this monster that so many think I am. And I would like you to come with me. This is something that's never been done before, so I would like to offer you all an insight into what my crown does, something that no one else in the Empire knows except for me. As you guys surround the crown, he pauses, says an incantation, and you guys find yourselves teleported. My great-great-great-great-great-grandfather sealed a very powerful dragon that he had befriended in the crown. With the crown, I'm able to visit this pocket dimension and summon the dragon in times of need, and the Empire needs defending. And as you step forward, you see there is a massive dragon. Massive. Made of shining vorpal.
Ooh, a vorpal dragon.
Wow.
Should the time ever come when war came to the Empire or the capital was under attack, I would be able to summon this dragon to defend it. However, after being used, the dragon must sleep for many, many years.
What's its name?
Zisram.
Zisram.
When was the last time he was used?
Zisram refused to help him when summoned. So my grandfather summoned him, but Zisram would not take part in the war. He looks around, defeated, turns towards Rogar, and then he just looks over and sees Takor and just creating this massive column of ice above him. And Taraz just looks at Rogar, looks at Takor, and kind of lowers his weapon and holds his arms out, like accepting, and then it just plows into him. His body begins to freeze and crack, and then Taraj looks up at you bitterly. He's like shaking, trembling as his entire body begins to freeze. And he looks at the Mage Hunter and just says, "Kill the gnome!" And then his body just shatters, dropping the helmet and great axe.
I'll take that one.
As you put the cloak on, Kryn, it feels very familiar in a very weird way. And these images begin to flash through your head again. You see two dwarves laughing, one of them wielding a massive sword that glows as bright as the sun. You see a wizard with black hair and rippling muscles. And the images clarify. You see yourself being chased by a rock on a snowy mountaintop with your friends. You see yourself at a lake, an evil man beneath you, and you shoot him in the head. And your eyes turn black.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
And finally, you see a vampire perched atop a red throne. And you hear a faint purring voice in your head say, "Hello again, Ranger." No, not a ranger this time.
Does Boots notice anything about this?
Kryn's eyes look like space.
I knew there was nothing in there.
Karis would ask to speak to you alone in his manner.
All right, I would definitely make time for that.
He'd let you in, lead you to like a small, nice outside like patio table. He'd have some tea, whatever else you needed, and you'd kind of sit down and just say, "I wanted to thank you for coming here and saving the king."
I kind of wave him off. No thanks necessary. That's what we do.
I know, and that's part of why. Well, he's still not well, the king. I suspect that he will not die within the next few days or weeks, but soon his time has come. And when he does, nothing's made me more confident that you have in your mind the best interests of the people and the will to do whatever must be done, even at risk of yourself, your friends. That's why I would like to offer you a nomination of Crown Prince. There's one more thing that I was hoping you'd accept. And he walks into the house, comes back a little bit later. You see a dark breasted plate, Conorante, that looks much like his, although it's been modified, trimmed down to look to fit you. He's obviously already knew you'd accept and had this made for you. And it's a very special Conorante that signifies that it belongs to the Crown Prince. May it aid you well, as it has aided me.
This whole time, I've been so worried that they were dead or lost or hurt, and they just left me?
They are unable to contact
They
you.
just
They are
left
now.
me? How could you just leave your kid out in the world at 5 and think it'd be fine?
I couldn't. It's even been said that I'm not a particularly warm mother.
Think
But I
you're
would never
warm
just
enough.
abandon my children.
I think the worst part is that I still want them.
Of course you do. But there's no time limit on this, Boots. You have literally all the time you would ever need to process this and decide what you want to do, and then change your mind and change your mind again, and whatever you decide is right is what's right for you, and there's no wrong answer.
Yep, it's writhing on the ground now. It's barely hanging on. It just looks up it in the air and just lets out this horrible death shriek. Rogard, is your turn.
I drop
Fitting.
my shield, two-handing my sword, attack it twice recklessly.
Oh, that's gonna do it.
You drive your blade into it. It lets out a horrible shrieking moan, and as this horrible distorted yell slowly begins to dissipate until you just hear the sound of a wolf howling.
Oh.
It falls over, the dark skin burning away in this black fire, until you see laying there a dead wolf with a bright silver pelt, more massive than any wolf you've ever seen.
For the first time, you hear Rogar speak, saying, "Yes, you can revive it."
When your parents passed away, were you familiar with where they were?
Yes, if they were in their bedroom in Castle Cade.
Do you know if there were any witnesses?
No, they were found crushed under the rubble.
Because when I read that it was caused by an earthquake, and the more I learned about General Helbrim and his gravitational abilities, I know your father was a peace-loving man, and I know that Helbrim wants nothing more than war with the Alliance, and I almost wonder how far that endeavor might take him if he was being consistently held back by a peace-loving king.
Much easier to manipulate a young, inexperienced monarch than an established, peace-loving king.
He looks like he stopped listening after like the first part of what you said, and then he's just like, "You think Helbrim killed my father and mother?"
I think it's
We think it's possible.
possible, and I think it's worth looking into.
Take a deep breath, close my eyes, and activate the Truth Seeker boons at the most detailed level.
Okay. I'm gonna make a con save.
Sure, as you do.
Guidance. Oh,
Huzzah!
Not-
Shit!
not needed.
Wow. What a roll, huh?
I know. Give us all
You
those
wanted-
juicy details.
Okay. Jarsali, you find yourself standing alone in the same bedroom, but more lived in. You see there's different furniture, different paintings, portraits, an open book on the nightstand. You see the same people in that portrait laying in bed under the covers. And the room begins to shake and vibrate. The canopy snaps and falls. They wake up, they're panicked. They are each on one side of the bed. The male gets up, standing, looking around, panicked, as does the woman. And after they get up, they start to run towards the door to leave the room, obviously, to escape the earthquake. And suddenly their bodies lock up, and they're stuck in place. You can see them kind of faintly shaking, but they can't move. You see their eyes kind of darting around, panicked. And the bedroom door opens, and you see a much younger looking Helbrim, his white hair black, He steps in, and you can see he already has his Graviturgy halberd in hand. And he says, "It's a standard tale, isn't it? A group of people that don't know each other. At the right place at the right time. Strangers can become more than the closest of friends with the one objective. To achieve a bigger goal, bigger than themselves. That was your father and I." And he's just kind of walking around at this point, and they can't move. And he says, "We were going to set a blanket of glory across the world. To cover it in our mark. We were closer than anyone could be. We would have killed gods for one another, for our goal. But you came with your soft heart and your ideas of love and what it's worth, and ruined it. I learned that my loyalty was a shackle, that the throne is not special, not sacred, if those who sit on it are weak. I will make the world a better place, even if I must destroy this one first. You may think I'm a villain, but I'm not. I'm a broken hero. Strength must be earned through blood, not love. Watch, can your love save you now? Can it save her?" And he walks over and he grabs the woman by the throat, and on his hands appear these Vorpal dick gauntlets. And he squeezes, and she kind of can't move. She's just kind of like, and he squeezes so hard that his hand crushes her throat and just splatters it, and her body slumps to the ground. Patriotism, loyalty, all of it. It just stands in the way of glory. I'll make sure that your boy learned that lesson, like your father should have taught you. And then he drives the halberd through the Emperor's chest, tears it out, and exits the room. And he says again, "I'm not the villain. I'm a broken hero." And then he closes his fist around the halberd, and the room collapses on top of them. And Jarsala, you find yourself back, standing around, everybody looking at you. You guys watch as the cloud channels and glows with green lightning, and a single bolt slams down into the Tomb of Heroes. The roof shatters, stone flies everywhere, the columns around the outside where all the statues of each hero was collapse and fall to pieces. And you see coming out of the entrance of the mausoleum 4 figures. The first, you see a human with a massive great bow that rivals the size of Rogar's bow. You see a young woman with a coat that seems to be made of small daggers. You see another human who doesn't appear to carry any weapons, but he walks with just an air of confidence about him. And then you see, lastly, stepping out in ceremonial emperor's garb, his once beautiful face now decayed and broken, the decayed armored corpse of Gaston Cadron, Elwyn's grandfather. You can pour summons force, this icy spike, it slams into her. Just this burst of icy energy explodes, and as she stands in it, barely alive, Decorin clicks his timepiece, and you watch as the shattered ice spike seems to reverse through time, reforming the second before it hits her and slams into her again. And her body, similarly to happen to Taraj, immediately freezes up. She looks around at all of you confused as her body's encased in ice. Just this less than 6 seconds is what the round was since she teleported here to before she was dead. And just this shock on her face as her body shatters into a million pieces of ice.
That's how you wizard.
Well, we sent a dispatch of 6 knights of my order with their squires to the gutter. They never reached it. Seems that assassin is behind Alliance lines. And as we send reinforcements of supplies and troops to the gutter to reinforce it in the borderlands, many of them are not reaching their destination.
Oh, that's terrible. Maybe we should go in the next supply convoy.
Might not be the worst idea.